The game plan from here, once we've got most of the questions covered here, Lauren's going to talk about nutrition, and then I'm going to talk about the exercise we need to do that. And I've got a bit of game plan on exercise per week. Hence, I want your email so I can email you what you're doing. So it's not going to be random. Okay, guys, good luck. See you in 5 weeks. Going to weigh you again. It's going to be you're going to know what to do, and if you're not doing it, it's up to yourself. Okay, any other little points we haven't covered before we begin? Okay. So my idea, Lauren, is if you begin, and then as we go along, if we haven't covered anything towards the end of the night, we'll come back and check the box.
Lovely. So one of the things I did want to talk about is emotional eating, which I'm very happy that someone just brought that up anyway, because that's going to make it a lot easier. Can I just borrow?
You actually use
Actually,
you want to use my whiteboard?
You have to rip it off.
No, I've already photographed it, so it's fine.
So emotional eating is the ultimate sabotage, I suppose. So especially when you're going through a challenge experience like this, you can be having a great first couple of days. Everyone is super enthusiastic, very motivated. All they want to eat is salads and fruit and all the good stuff. You want to exercise, you're feeling good. And then probably by about day 3, we always start on a Monday. Everyone always likes to start things on a Monday. So by about Thursday, we're getting a little bit, life's getting a bit stressful. A glass of wine starts looking pretty good, or maybe some chocolate. Then we get to Friday, and that's the end of the week. And of course, we've got to have a drink at the end of the week. And we might have takeaway on a Friday night, and that's when things start to fall apart. And that's when the emotional eating can start to play a part. So we've got to learn how to harness that emotional eating. Because being emotional around food is not necessarily a bad thing. The idea is not that we have no emotion around food. Food is good for us. And it's fun. It tastes good. It's social. There's lots of good things about it. We're allowed to have emotions around food. It's just when we actually, turn that into the hate cycle. So the guilt cycle, where we feel bad for eating things, instead of enjoying food for what it is and potentially the nourishment that it can give you. So let's talk about that emotional eating. So we might have what's called a trigger. So that trigger, well, you guys tell me, what's a trigger for you getting into that emotional eating sort of realm, where that cycle starts?
For me, it's lack of sleep. For the kids, I'm super tired, so I get super hungry, so I'll go to the fridge and I'll grab a snack.
Yep. What else?
For me, it's a minute of stop.
Boredom.
As in, your mind isn't on anything
Work
in
stress.
particular.
Stress, of course.
Just sometimes convenience, like it's convenient to get rubbish food, takeaway.
It's there.
It's there, yeah. It's whatever I can grab, and sometimes that's.
Yep.
You walk into the
Fast
servo,
food.
it's
Yeah,
there.
yeah.
You go to the supermarket, it's there.
Yeah.
Yep. Or at work, someone gives it to you.
Yeah.
Yep. Might also be things like you've gained some weight, or feeling rubbish about yourself, or you look in the mirror and something doesn't fit, or that looks bigger, or someone makes a comment, or something along those lines. So another one is a comment. So someone else can trigger you, and that might be that someone else at work is, or in the family is eating something, or it might be that they've started on a weight loss plan as well. And they're finding it really easy or looking fabulous. When someone's really successful, sometimes we can look at them and go, well, she just looks so fabulous, maybe I'll eat something, which doesn't make sense, but at the time, it does. So, we call this the trigger. So, all of these negative things may happen. So, what happens when we have this trigger? We feel bad. And that comes with a whole bunch of emotions. So for some people it is being depressed, some people it can cause a bit of anxiety, sometimes it's just feeling rubbish about self and you want to make yourself feel better. So we're feeling bad, you might feel uncomfortable, you say it might be in clothing, so you feel uncomfortable in those clothes, it might be emotional, just that you're feeling bad, depressed, down. So what do? We eat. And that usually isn't some kale or broccoli. It's usually some chocolate, or it might be sweet food. For other people, it might be savoury. For some people, it might actually be alcohol as well. Or it could be all of the above. Sometimes we don't discriminate. But what happens when we eat?
Sorry.
Never-ending cycle. We just keep going through it, and then all of a sudden Monday comes, and of course on Monday things get better because we're starting again. So Monday comes, oh, I'm going to be good today. Or maybe breakfast comes, because most people are pretty good at breakfast. It's after that that it starts to fall apart. So how do we actually break that cycle?
Go book.
Yeah.
Go into the Biggest Loser house where there's nothing in there, we're in a confined environment, there's no family, there's no stress, there's just none of these. That'd be nice. Then there's the real world where none of us can actually do that. The issue is that we need to take this bit out of it. It's the feeling bad bit that we need to try and manage. Because the eating chocolate or having a glass of wine isn't actually the biggest issue. 1 or 2 bits of chocolate, a glass of wine, or even a row of chocolate isn't the issue. It's feeling bad after having a couple of bits of chocolate and then deciding that half a block looks good, or the whole packet of lollies, or all of the Tim Tams, or whatever it is. What causes that emotional eating is that we descend into, well, I've started now, so I may as well.
So just stand up.
No worries.
Let's go.
So we need to, within this challenge, I mean 10 weeks is a very short period of time, but it's also a really long period of time to not eat chocolate. Or I'm using chocolate as an example because it's often a common one, so use whatever your food is, but I'll use chocolate just because it's an easy one. You need to allow yourself to have some chocolate, but you've got to put some boundaries around it. I tend to talk about it with my patients is about having a treat. And that might be, and you need to decide what is going to work for you in terms of your treats. So I'm asking you to give yourself permission to have treats. Now that doesn't mean 5 times a day and every day of the week. I'm talking about, in a challenge situation, I will usually recommend to my patients that they have 1 treat meal a week and 1 treat snack a week. So you are essentially giving yourself permission for that to happen. So that might, if in your family you always have takeaway on a Friday night, then continue to have takeaway on a Friday night. If you really love chocolate, then you give yourself an amount of chocolate that you feel comfortable with and think you can keep to. I'm not talking 1 square of chocolate, because I can't keep to 1 square of chocolate either. You need to give yourself something reasonable, but what I wouldn't do is buy a block of chocolate. Because if you buy a block, you eat a block. Eat an amount that you will consume in 1 sitting and feel okay about. So that might be like a normal sized chocolate bar, so a Mars bar, it's about 50 grams. If we're talking chocolate, it's about, dairy milk, it's about 6 squares. So 1 treat a week, a treat snack, and 1 treat meal. You give yourself permission to do that. So then, we don't get this bit, and therefore we don't get this bit, and therefore we don't get this bit. But you do need to look after yourself. You do need to take care of yourself and give yourself permission. So what happens if you feel like chocolate more than just your 1 bar in the week and your 1 treat meal a week? Well, that's where we come back to those goals. That's where we do need to maintain motivation. So that's where you go, okay, I've already had my treat meal. I've decided that I was going to have that on Friday night, and it's now Saturday, so I had it last night, and I enjoyed it. But now everyone's getting takeaway again on Saturday night. So what do? You need to make the best possible decision that you can make at that point in time. So you go to someone's house and they've already ordered pizza, and you're like, oh, now what? Okay, it's a fair question. What would I do in that situation? I'd have the minimum amount that I can get away with so that I'm not hungry anymore. So you might have 2 pieces, 3 pieces, whatever you can get away with, and go, okay, I'm making the best possible decision that I can at this point in time. What that does, again, takes out the feeling bad, because you've made an educated decision about what you're going to have. Sure, if you've got control over the situation, I probably wouldn't have the pizza. But there's going to be times where you don't have control. So you can choose to eat the pizza and then feel bad about it and then eat some more pizza and trigger again. Or you can go, okay, the best decision that I've got at the moment is just to eat 2 bits of pizza, and I'm going to choose the ones that have the thinnest base and the most vegetables and the least amount of meat or whatever. You know, try and make the best possible decision in that circumstance.